I just wanted to say I did a bit of research. I did find something about like doing deals at 1:30 a.m. in Dubai. Is that a thing?
What do you mean? What'd you find?
The power of yes. Where's that obsession come from?
That's like kind of a deep one, right? And I think the simple way to say it is,
What's the segue here? So you were selling gas. Like, how did you get from that to launching your own agency?
it was one of those scenarios where the agency I was working for, he went out of business. As simple to say, went out of business, and I thought, you know what? I can do this. I don't want no more rules on me anymore. And
I'm unemployable. I
yeah.
can't listen to order. I'm too obsessed with perfection and progress. I'm better off doing it myself. How did you come up with that whole idea?
The Yeti and the unicorn.
Yeah, it's pretty clever.
I went to a conference, and the T-shirt literally had a Yeti and a unicorn on it. And I was thinking, I'm like, screw this. I just want to have fun.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the HighLevel Experience Podcast. Our guest today is a relentless entrepreneur who lives at the intersection of old school hustle and cutting-edge strategy. He's the kind of guy who helps you close deals at 1:30 a.m. in Dubai, then hops on a morning flight just in time for breakfast, meaning back home. He's the founder of First Direct, a powerhouse agency that's quietly helped mattress retailers and other niche businesses scale with omni-channel marketing that actually converts. Whether it's print, SMS, or high-level automation, him and his team build systems that just plain work. He's also a pilot, a former podcast host, and a man obsessed with one powerful thing: the yes. His obsession with helping others say yes has created ripple effect across businesses in his area, and today we're diving into the data-driven mind behind it all. Please welcome to the show, Joel Burr from First Direct Marketing.
Thank you very much, Vit, for having me here. Glad to be here.
Joel, great to have you on the show, mate. I saw that you're, the power of yes. Where's that obsession come from? Tell us about it. Like, why? What's the goal here?
Power of yes. That's like kind of a deep one, right? And I think the simple way to say it is I spent too many years not saying yes, too many years. And it finally come to that point where you probably wake up sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I had one business coach tell me, Joel, you're a heavy analyzer. You're trying to get all the information before you say yes, before you commit to something. I'm like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? Like, that's the problem. You're trying to have too much information before you make that commitment. And what you need to do is simply just say yes. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I don't know what I think I know. And so that was probably about a little over 10 years, roughly 10 years ago or so. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to get the info fast, say yes, and go. And you never know where a yes will lead you. Obviously, you use some common sense and you don't say yes to bad things, right? But, or things that would get you in trouble or are immoral or break the law or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one because it's also, one of the most profitable words also is saying no is another thing, right? So there's like a bit of a conundrum there. Like, how do you make the most of it? So yes, there are deals that are not worth doing and saying no to different projects, or things that are outside of your wheelhouse, because that's a distraction. Then saying no to those is generally a good idea rather than getting yourself distracted. But I'm a big perfectionist. And I think that's where it stems from, I suppose, in your case as well. Because just naturally, if you're the type of guy who like, I need to have all the info, tells me you're more like me, like perfectionist as well. Because it's kind of like a logical thing. Like, I need to know all the things. We need to map it all out. Then I can quote you. Then I can see if we can do it. But yeah, I mean, it can create friction in the sales process. It can mean that you might lose deals.
Absolutely. I think my background, I was the kid that the parents hid the screwdrivers from because I wanted to figure out how did the doorknob work. And even though I'd opened one doorknob, I wanted to see how this one worked, right? Or I was always curious about why were they digging a hole? What's in the hole? What are they putting back in the hole? How do they do that? How does that machine work? Right? I was always curious about that. A big part of my background on the marketing front is data. And I started in the mid-90s working at some of the data compilers in the United States. And so data fascinated me because it was just such a simple thing. And actually, I was using one of the compiler's products prior to going to work for them. I was a teenager, and I was working in the streets of Chicago, Illinois, when natural gas was getting deregulated in the United States. I was literally going from business to business, signing people up for natural gas. And we used this little product called Business USA at the time. And so data fascinated me. And I think that's all feeds into this whole overanalyzation, because in marketing, data and stats don't lie, right? Work in a space of marketing and automations and AI and all that cool stuff. And there's a lot of fluffy stuff out there. However, at the end of the day, interpreting and understanding what data to pay attention to is a real critical thing. Like, people look at vanity metrics and they get paralyzed by vanity metrics and invest the money in the wrong spot. So it's kind of getting probably off tangent from your question, but it's a desire to have all the info before you say yes can be a limiter, especially as a business owner. You'll get the info, and I think the quicker you move through things, you find the information much faster.
Yeah, and there's always going to be, you don't know what you don't know. So sometimes it's just, we love this platform, right, called HighLevel, and there is really a lot to take from their business model. They didn't try and have it all. They start with a skateboard and they just keep iterating. And so I think there's a lot to say to that. So now, what's the segue here? So you were selling gas. Like, how did you get from that to launching your own agency, first direct marketing? I think you've been doing it for 10 years from our last conversation.
Yeah, first direct. So yeah, my long and short story, because, you and I have met people in this space and it's, oh, you have an agency. That's cute. Where is it? Out of mom's basement? It's not to diss anybody. You got to start somewhere. But my background, how I got to selling natural gas is I was a telemarketer. I would sit there and smile and dial. Back when you had to pay in the United States, I don't know how it is where you're at, but in the United States, you'd have long distance and you have to sign up for the carrier, pay the long distance. You have to sign up for caller ID, right? And all of those things. I was selling that stuff on the phone. And one of the programs we got moved over to was a business to business program, a company called MC Squared. They were a division of Occidental Petroleum, and we were signing people up over the phone for their natural gas. I was a teenager, I think like 18. I had to have been 18. And the client asked for a couple people they could take from the phone room here in Omaha. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. So here in Omaha, Nebraska, from the phone room to, hey, we want to put them right on the street, working out on the street. I'm like, I'll go. I'll do it. Yeah. And so I was flying back and forth, I fly out on Mondays, fly back on Fridays. And man, you and I met at Level Up Summit, and those that met me, I'm a tall dude, but I'm a little more meat on me today than I was then. But I was a tall, string
Stick
bean
figure.
Yeah, I could blow away in the wind. So, but one of the products we were using was this product called Business USA, and it was provided on a CD-ROM. And so we would use that to look up information, whether or not a business was relatively valid and worthy, not credit worthy, but it was kind of like a little light credit check, looking at some of their information. And I'm like, wow, this is so powerful because it tells me so much about this prospect I'm going to talk to, or I'm talking to, and I could close more deals. And when you're 18, you don't think about much. I came back and my best friend said, he's like, let's go work for American Business Information, because they're here in Omaha too. He goes, we're going to be on the phone anyway, and we'll make more money. I'm like, cool, no brainer. We'll be on the phone, make more money. That sounds good to me. And that's where I kind of got started into the data side of this whole marketing thing. And so I went from working from American Business Information, who's nowadays they're Data Axle. So they've been sold, changed a few times, but working for them, to working for a brokerage and an agency. And then in 2005, I started my own agency. It was one of those scenarios where the agency I was working for, he went out of business, as simple to say, went out of business. And I thought, you know what? I can do this. So, I had, my son was 3 months old at the time. And I'm like, I just got to provide for my family. I did what every entrepreneur goes and starts it because they don't want to work for the man. Right. And they're like, I don't want no more rules on me anymore. And
I'm unemployable. I can't listen to order. I'm too obsessed with perfection and progress. I'm better off doing it myself. Yeah. You were in Omaha. Isn't that where Warren Buffett's from?
Yeah. Yeah. Warren Buffett's in Omaha here. So
did you ever get to see him?
No. I'm sure if I went to certain places, I'd see him, but I'm not too worried. Once in a while, I go to the shareholder meetings and stuff like that. But yeah, the long story short is I started my own thing. I figured, why not? And we started providing data for companies that were using it for direct mail and telemarketing at the time. We started doing email marketing. That was starting to pick up around 2005. And further, we did a lot of direct mail, millions and millions and millions of pieces of direct mail over the years. We still do that. But, obviously marketing at the end of the day is getting your message in front of the right audience at the right time and staying there in the simple way. And so that's data helps you do that, and understanding helps you do that. So I've stayed in a niche that, just like any business in any industry, you have your moments of bliss and you have your moments of, why did I do this? And the moments of bliss outweigh the why did I do this moments.
Yeah, that's the idea,
So
right? Hopefully, that's the idea for everybody.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so omni-channel, direct response marketing, the old school methods, direct mail, and you're still doing that. That's interesting. How do you? So obviously, that's a very old method, but I think it's an interesting one because there's also a shift where businesses are not doing it, so that helps you, I guess, stand out because that's kind of like a novelty again. You work with mattress businesses, for example, right?
Yeah, we actually work with a lot of industries. There's a lot of focus that we have right now on the mattress and furniture space,
Hmm.
because and the flooring space, just simply because there are a lot of there are industries that are underserved. They're stuck in archaic systems, archaic methods, and they're the target of a lot of misinformation. So, if you go to our website, firstdirectmarketing.com, we're trying to have fun with it. Is, hey, no myths, just marketing that works. We're going to pull all the myths out. We're not going to fluffify it. We're going to just tell you, let's get to the brass tacks of it, the foundational elements, the fundamentals, and consistency on fundamentals will help any business grow. And then, of course, we can get super fancy if we want to.
Yeah,
You know,
I gotta say the website. I mean, that's kind of that would really got my attention. That's why I reached out and get you on as a guest because I always feel like you guys should check it out. But I don't want to give you phantom traffic. But the branding is very clever. So kudos to you, mate. How did you come up with that whole idea of the unicorn and this moving? Is it like
um,
yeah,
you
it's
mean the Yeti and the unicorn and the
the
clouds and all that
Yeti.
kind of stuff?
Yeah. It's pretty clever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a few thoughts on how that came up. I was kind of, we've been in a transition, so to speak, with a lot of privacy law changes and things of that sort. There's a lot of shift that we are doing as far as where First Direct was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, to where we're taking First Direct in the next 5, 10 years.
Mm.
Understanding, using data, and adapting to privacy is a big part of it. And at the same time, I don't know about you, or those listening, but business today seems 10 times harder than it was a year ago to some degree. There's more
It's
challenge.
there's been so much progress with AI and all the technology going so fast. It's like this
Yeah.
agency space and like trying to figure out the services and the right offers and everything. You're trying to figure it out, and by the time you wake up, is like that everything just keeps shifting way faster. Yeah, it is. So I
Yeah.
agree. Like this year has felt different than any other year, for sure.
Yeah. And of course, I say
Yeah.
that every year. But when you think about, yeah, I guess we were at one of those moments. And actually, there was a T-shirt I picked up from an airport on one of my business trips. I went to a conference, and the T-shirt literally had a Yeti and a unicorn on it. And I was thinking, I'm like, screw this. I just want to have fun. We've been in business for a while, and I just want to go have fun and play with this. And I'm like, I've my tagline when I started First Direct was something that meant something to me, the marketing solutions that fit. And what it meant to me was, you don't sell something to a customer that doesn't fit their growth.
Mm.
We're very intentional about what our mission is and what our vision is. Our mission is to transform businesses with the right information, insights, and solutions to empower their growth and success. And our vision is to do that for 100,000 businesses, which is crazy because I don't even know how we'd support that, but it's our target. And I firmly believe in that target, even though I also acknowledge that I don't know how in the world I'm going to get there, but that's my
Mhm.
target. I'm going to say yes to that. And we operate off of core values, but kind of going like into all of this, that structure, but yet at the same time, I want to go have fun and make this
Yeah.
engaging.
I was gonna, yeah, I was gonna say just on that point, like with the tagline, the branding, because it's like the obvious, but then you see it on a lot of agency websites. It's kind of like a similar thing, so it doesn't really help
Yeah.
stand out. So what you've
Yeah.
done is adding that creativity to it, and it's the emotion that initially it's what got me. Oh, this is cool. I'm gonna hang around here a little bit. I'm gonna look at this because it kind of got my attention. And then obviously the obvious stuff that you guys do, it's there as well. But yeah, I think smart move. Yeah.
Well, as marketers, we essentially, when we're talking to a client, if we're a good marketer, we have a toolbox. And out of that toolbox, we need to figure out what's the biggest pain they have first and solve the pain. And then their ultimate goal, there's nothing that you and I as marketers and, in agencies and whatnot, working with clients, we have to battle with the impact of economy and the shifts and tariffs and all of those things trickle down and affect what a business will do with us, right? But there's fundamental things that, on our website, we break it down: attract, engage, convert, retain. It's the simple elements. I need to go attract people. I need to go engage them. I need to convert them, and I need to retain them. It's pretty elementary. No matter what industry you're in, no matter what, if you're B2C, B2B, it doesn't matter. I don't care what you're selling. You got to attract your customer. You got to engage them, convert them, and retain them. This is where HighLevel comes in. It's a Swiss Army knife to engage, right? And to retain with tools and remarketing and those types of things. So yeah, just going back to I guess the branding to your question is the Yeti and the unicorn. And no myth, just marketing that works statement is, I'm a big believer in, I want to educate my clients and help them to understand what things mean and what things equal, right? Oftentimes we're running like digital display and CTV and OTT, and helping clients understand that, hey, yes, we obviously want impressions because that means we're being seen. We want clicks because that means somebody's engaging. But what we really care about is even if they see your ads, do they come back later? Are we catching them at the right spots in their journey that we're impressed? We're building brand recognition and building trust. And so helping clients, for example, understand what type of household frequency they should have on their Meta ads or Google ads or display or TV ads. If you're targeting a certain geographic area, there's only so many households. There's only so many people in that area to start with. And there's only so many people that match the audience, perhaps, that could buy your product or service, depending upon what that is.
Right. How much is too much? How much you actually start to waste money away? And maybe it's less touch points is all it's needed and things like that.
Right. It's, like with HighLevel, it gives you and I both a very good tool to help them structure data. A lot of business owners don't structure their data. They don't structure their name and address and phone and email. Where are your people that are spending money with you coming from? Right. And now if you're working with brands that are like nationwide brands or worldwide brands, that's a little bit broader. And unless you have a lot of data, it's really hard to see the trends more accurately, perhaps. But when you're working with a lot of retailers who have a brick and mortar business that need to swing the door, there's markets, there's areas, neighborhoods you don't market to and neighborhoods you do market to. So that's what we try to do with clients as far as, hey, let's make sure we help you understand those basics. Our focus, like on our approach, is we try to help them automate and bring that clear picture as close as possible. Because what we want to do is help them to see, hey, if you spent money on advertising, like on direct mail, Vit here, who just spent $3,000 with you, we've touched him with direct mail 3 months ago or 60 days ago. And then he's been in our digital audience for display and CTV. So we know he's seen it. And look, he spent $3,000, where Bob over here, who only spent $1,500, wasn't exposed to any of our advertising. So helping.
Yeah, this is the important bit, right? Because if you're selling things that like that at touch points, it's like podcast ads or radio ads. It's like you can't really directly attribute it. So being able to explain it, it's interesting to me, like how you've cracked the code on it so that the businesses can value it, because otherwise it wouldn't work, right?
Well, again, I'm a big data geek. So we, a lot of times, HighLevel is our center hub, so to speak. We brand it as, white label it as First Direct 360. And my goal there is I want data synchronizing in. So if I can get data from their POS synchronizing in, or hey, frankly, if they're only writing 30 transactions a month or something like that, enter the data. You're spending thousands of dollars with me. I can't help you. It's just like a doctor. The doctor can't help you if you don't give him some information of what your symptoms are.
You may not realize this, but for the last 2 years, I've had a secret weapon that has made running my business inside of HighLevel so much easier. You see, there is so much that HighLevel can do, which is amazing, but it's a lot of work to stay up to date with it. And even more so if my customers are asking me questions about it. And this is why I'm excited to announce that our show is officially part of the HLPT Creator Network. This is HighLevel Pro Tools, an organization that I've been using to run support for my customers as well as give me a ton of awesome epic add-ons that make running, launching, and differentiating my SaaS inside of HighLevel so much easier. And now that they're an official sponsor of the show, they've done something pretty bloody awesome. If you go to hlpt.com/experience, you can get one of their incredible tools absolutely for free. No purchase necessary, just for being a listener on the show. So head over to hlpt.com/experience, grab that free tool, and I promise you this is going to improve the conversion rates on your page. Check out all the other stuff that they offer and tell them that Vit sent you.
You know what's wild? There's a smarter way to grow your agency and help more local businesses without adding more stress. That's what HighLevel does. It's your all-in-one sales, marketing, automation, and AI system. No more duct taping tools together or paying for 20 different subscriptions that barely talk to each other. I've been using it for 5 years with my own white-level version, Stand Out from the Pack, helping Aussie businesses like Dimitri, a Canberra electrician, who now runs his jobs, quotes, calls, and follow-ups with our built-in AI employee. If you're an agency, HighLevel lets you do exactly that. Support your clients in new ways while building stable, recurring revenue every month. And if you're a local business, partner up with somebody who knows your market and your industry. If you're in Tasmania, my mate Jared from Boulder Digital, for example, has you covered. If you're in Canberra, that's my turf. Check out standoutfromthepack.com.au and we'll get you sorted. The point is, there's probably a high-level agency or SaaSpreneur near you. We're seasoned marketers, tech-savvy super nerds who love helping local businesses grow. We're global, we're connected, we're high-levelers. Now, I've got something really special for you guys. I've negotiated an exclusive 30-day HighLevel trial that's double the usual just for you. Sign up your agency through gohighlevel.com/Vit or upgrade your existing plan, and I'll hook you up with over $3,200 worth of bonuses, resources, templates, and snapshots I normally give to my private clients only. So whether you're scaling an agency or leveling up your business, start with the right system. Go highlevel.com/Vit or team up with your local SaaSpreneur and let's make business simple again. One platform, one login, no duct tape, just results. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Data is everything. Without data, you can't make decisions, you can't analyze, you can't do nothing. So yeah, I'm big on that. We use one of the tools we like to use. It's called Giru, so which is also, I don't know if Giru, like you can create this visual representation of a system, and then you've got this button and you press simulate and you press it and it'll just, it'll calculate all the different conversion points at every step. And then obviously you put your, like, what's the price of the product you're trying to sell, and then you put your conversions, and then you put your ad spend and other spends, and it'll just tell you exactly, okay, well, based on this simulation, this is how much this campaign is going to make. And then you could use it that way as a simulation, or you can actually run the campaign, come back to it, put the real numbers in there and run it again. And okay, well, here's exactly how much you made. Now let's look at, where was, actually I can pull it out. Yeah, there it is. I was going to share a screen. It'd be interesting. So they were bought by Russell
Brunson. I think I
Brunson,
have that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I scored a lifetime deal on it. It's called Giru, but they put it under.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I know what you're saying. Giro. Yeah, we have that.
Yeah. So you use it? You still use it?
We have it. I don't use it. But I don't use it often.
Here, for the guys watching this, so you guys see it. It's pretty cool. For example, I spoke to a client on Friday. They're like a local dance studio, and they're like, hey, we've been struggling with our ads. And with us, we've got some clients who are trying to do it yourself, and then we just support them with workshops and resources. So they fall into that category, and they try and do it all themselves. But she was like, we've been having difficulty with these campaigns. We're really trying to build something that is going to better nurture people that come in from specific campaigns. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, let's do that. So I opened it up today, and this is not the campaign, by the way. This is just a little template. But yeah, this is how it looks like. So you got like different things. You get your pages, opt-in page, sales page. You can just pull it all in there like this. I'm just going to delete this. And then what you do is, it's pretty exciting. I've been using ClickUp Whiteboard to visually map out systems before we build them inside HighLevel, so that I can go over that stuff with client, and it's way quicker, right? Not wasting time. But yeah, so what you got here, guys, if you're watching this, if you want to nerd out on something, you've got, okay, what's your traffic source? So this is the one here. So you click on this, and this is the traffic source here, YouTube ads, and then you put your, like, how many visitors or whatever the metrics are. And then you put your cost per click, in this case, 75 cents, whatever, right? So you put it all in there, and then you put your conversions, like, okay, so somebody goes from there, watches video content, how many of people from there do click through and go to the next thing onto the sign up page. So maybe 5% go and 95 don't. So those 95, we're going to put them in remarket until they do, and then you look at those. So you set up your conversion points across every single spot here. You just put your opt-in basically percentages, and then this is the most fun part here. So you put your things there. Then you might also put some additional cost here for your expensive associated with it. Then you hit this button, simulate, and it'll just go and it'll calculate it all, and then say, hey, you're gonna run this. You're not gonna okay. You're gonna be losing money by running this. It's like, okay, well, that's just no point doing it, right? So then what do we need to do? And then going back to the client, and maybe this is like what you do based on what they've come to you with. You haven't even done anything. They've come to you with, and you assess it all, and you build it visually here, and then you run it, just to make it like, because let's say they're budging, you're trying to sell them onto your thing, and then they're like, excuse this, excuse that, or lack of trust. They don't think that you can help them, or they have too much ego and they think they've got everything worked out already. And then you run something like this and you show them, hey, look, I've gone the extra mile, and I just wanted to really show you like where you're at based on the data, based on what you've told me. You're actually losing money. So wouldn't it make sense to work with us that we can actually make it profitable and show them that like this? I like this because I'm big on data as well. So.
It helps you. Yeah. It looks like you're losing money, but you could figure out and say, well, hey, what's the thing I can sell next?
Oh yeah.
So you may lose
yeah,
on the initial, but now that traffic's warm and hot, what's the next sale? Like I even tell my retailers that. I'm like, I don't care if you break even. I don't care if you lose a little bit. If you sold them a bedding bundle, sweet. Or if you break even on a circular, an insert, and people are calling you and they buy some chairs, and the money you make on the chairs pays for the ad, and it's a break even, you better make sure you get your Google reviews from them and ask for referrals, because that's how you're going to now make money on the next. But the same thing is with this. Hey, what's the next product you can sell them? Or will these people also, is one of the new traffic sources, once you get people through this, is one of the new traffic sources not YouTube, but a referral.
Yeah. I don't know much about retail space, but I do know like grocery stores, they work that way as well. They have their loss leaders in order to get you in on buying other stuff, and that's where they make their profit. It's an interesting concept altogether. But yeah, the power is in data, guys. So if you have something like this, if you're watching this, by the way, if you're listening to this, by the way, I know this is like a podcast medium, but if you want to see what we're showing here, just head over to our YouTube channel. But yeah, so like with this, you can then go, look, we're not going to build a Rome in one day. It's all about marginal improvements. So maybe where's the biggest hanging fruit? Maybe here. Look, there is the YouTube video here, and we only get in 5% conversion on the click through from watching it to maybe the video is embedded or whatever on a page, right? So only 5% going to actual sales page. So that's the biggest lowest hanging fruit to fix this. So what do we need to do? Let's just create a split test on another video, get a videographer, reshoot that video, and run that for a week or two or whatever period of time, and then pick the new winner, and then maybe you can bump it up from 5 to 20%. And then let's say if you do that, let's actually do that for shits and giggles. Conversion rate, go from 5 to 20, and that's a conversion rate on a click through onto a sign up page. Keep everything else same, because the name of the game when you're doing A/B split testing, you just do one variable, right? Otherwise, you don't know what was the difference. And then simulate, and then maybe we go from there, and we realize that now we lose less money. Okay, we're not still breaking even, but yeah, so it's just fun stuff.
Yeah, you're starting to make it up. Or, hey, what if you change your price of your product? Can your product price change a little bit?
Yeah, let's look at that.
If it's $3,000, could you charge $3,250?
Yeah, let's do that. And so we got a one-time offer product online course for $10. Let's make that 20, because 10, anything below $100.
Or do 17. Do 17. I hear that's a magic number.
17. Okay, let's go 17.
Yeah.
17. That's it. It's safe. And then the main offer consulting services is being 3K. Maybe there's a friction, so we'll make it 2.5K, which is going to increase conversion on the sign up. So we'll close that, and then we'll go book a call, and then here is the sales. So that would be right here. So what's the sales conversion? Now it goes up because it's slightly lower on the price, goes from 19 to 30%. Hit save. And then let's simulate and see what happens. and we were at minus $525. Okay, now we're back to minus 74. So there you go. So, but hey, okay, so this is a good point again. So if you don't have a tool like that, it kind of turned into a bit of a plug for gear. I didn't plan that, but without this, we wouldn't know. Then you're like, oh, this is going to be better. You're putting a finger up in the air and seeing when
changing
the
your
wind
initial
blows.
offer from 10 to 17, now that may actually, you need to see what the stats are from that, right? Because you may think, oh, well, it's going to go down because I asked for more money. It actually could go up. Or if you lowered the price even and went from like 10 to 7 or 10 to, hey, a couple dollars, right? Online course, but you might find the conversion just skyrockets and now your list is bigger and your cost to remarket goes way down.
Yeah. So if you go from 17, just like a $1 funnel thing for a course, and then you're consulting, now you got a lot more people, then you can go back to $3,000.
Yep.
And,
Or go to 30,
see what
32.50. Are you making up the money? Maybe you raise the price just a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that. Because sometimes the pricing in itself is also like the perception. So if something appears to be like too cheap, it's like people perceive it as a lower quality. It's an interesting one as well. I don't know if this is working well. We're not doing something right. We kind of got stuck on this now. We're still not making profit. Joel, what are we doing?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
We're getting stuck on this.
Maybe we up the price and add more value.
Yeah. Let's stop sharing for a minute. But you guys get the point. I'm doing it really quickly here, but it works. The worst demo ever. Joel, what does your day-to-day look like? So as a data-driven guy, you're running an agency, you're piloting planes in your spare time. Like, what does your day-to-day look like?
My day-to-day, I'm a guy that my alarm goes off 4:45 a.m. And I'm usually crashing at the end of the day by 8 or 9 o'clock. So I want to make sure I get my sleep. I've learned that to be a critical thing. If take care of yourself. But my day to day, hey, that morning time, precious to me. That's where I do personal studies and prayer and meditation and those types of things. And I kind of get my day organized for what I need to do. At the office, we have an 8:05 meeting every single morning with the team. So I have physical offices right here. We have people here in this office. We have people across the United States and as well as overseas. And everybody's at that 8:05 meeting. So we have our team leads. We identify what's hot, what needs to get done, what didn't get done, what feedback from different things. So that way we can get things going. A lot of my time is spent on what we call MMS calls, managed marketing service calls, where we're spending 30 minutes with a client and we're going through, hey, here's the progress of what we've worked on. Here's the things you want. Here's campaign results. Here's performance of SEO and all of those types of things. Here's what to look for. It's helping them get things like with HighLevel integrated, like phone systems and all that type of stuff. Automations. Like today, I spent time creating a whole new snapshot for our mattress retailers, so I could automate that sales capture, the capture of sales data. So that way we can correctly get them reporting, right? So we're not dependent upon other things. It's on that. You get into it and you solve problems. That's my day to day. I get into it and just solve problems. So I love it when we have a challenge that we can put our hands on and find a solution to. And of course, nowadays with AI, it makes it even easier. I love it because even with Chat GPT, you can I drop a picture in there and say, I'm stumped. This isn't working right here. And bam, it understands if you give it context. So, but no, our day to day is a lot of times spending time with clients, spending time with, besides business, family. My faith is very important. I do a lot of volunteer work. So we do a lot of volunteer work, on average about 50 to 100 hours a month of volunteer work. So that works all within that. I'm busy at the end of the day. I stay busy, but I make sure it's busy with good things.
That's impressive. Okay. All right. It's putting me to shame a little bit. I'm not doing any volunteer
there you go.
work.
There's my day to day.
I do know if I do help somebody, it does feel good. Like you've got some feeling like helping somebody out is a great way to feel better about yourself. Yeah. So solving problems every day. I do like the weekly huddle as well, or it's like a daily huddle with your team. So keeping everybody.
Yeah. With our team, it's every day, 8:05. We go through, we literally, hey, what's our mission statement? What's our core values? And even though we know it, we do it every day. And the reason why is because I want to keep my team tightly aligned to why we're here. Why does this equal the money we get that pays our bills? because we're all not going to show up for a job unless we're getting paid. But staying aligned to our mission and operating within the confines of our core values makes a client get results. And if the client gets results, from what we do, they'll spend more money with us. And if they spend more money, well, that's your job, right? So, we're very transparent as an organization, making sure that all of our staff know where they're at in the process and how what they do impacts a client.
Yeah. Now, when you're speaking of impact, there's increasing, requirements on like privacy and stuff. Now,
Yep.
being a data-driven guy, how do you balance the need for like data in marketing with the growing demand for privacy? It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Well, we'll use third-party data for direct mail. That's in
Mm-hmm.
the United States. That's still a big thing there. We'll use specific anonymized data for digital use cases. We have partners that are connected with that. There's the challenge in the United States right now is there's a lot of privacy laws that change by state. California has its laws, Vermont has its laws, Texas has Oregon, and then all the other states. And then there's small nuances here and there. We as a data company, we've been doing this for long enough. We're kind of on a few lists. And so we get privacy requests all the time. On average, we're processing on a slow day, a few thousand. And on a busy day, I've seen it spike up to 100,000 privacy requests a day. The privacy processing from today's reports was in the last 2 days. So from Monday, we had 28,000 privacy requests. So how we handle that as an agency is we have processes in place to digest that data, store that data in a secure way, and of course provide the necessary responses to that. We have a bit of an infrastructure here just because of a lot of the data processing that we do outside of a few other things. But you just have to adapt. You have to use technologies and be able to adapt.
For the guys listening who don't understand, what does it mean, this privacy request? What does that mean?
Oh, that changes all the time. So a lot of times we'll get a request and it'll be, hey, they email us a request, or we'll have privacy companies out there. And that's actually something really, I think, really important for agencies to be alert to right now, and not to dismiss if they get requests, because it's going to expand and you're not going to get away from it. But there's privacy companies out there where consumers will engage that privacy company to go have their information removed from marketing and what they think are evil databases out there. Well, the reality
Okay.
is, majority of the time, I don't have your data. I'm not a compiler. I acquire an audience to initiate marketing. A client requests that we go get an audience, and I go get it from verified partners that are already taking all of that data through privacy. But I still have to respond nonetheless as an agency.
Right. Because you're talking about anonymized data where like Google and search engines might provide you that data.
No, not that. No, it's
for
different.
remarketing. No.
No, it's different. No, so we're talking about like name and address data, phone data, email data.
Okay.
As agencies, particularly even in the United States and across the globe, frankly too, you're going to see it. You're going to see it come across your deck more. If any presence at all on the web, or you've been around you're probably going to see that hit more. Your clients are going to be impacted by it as well. If they're bigger clients, they potentially have a lot of data because of transaction. They're going to be a target. As a good marketer, we need to help them to know how to navigate that to some degree. Obviously, we're probably not attorneys, so let's not give legal advice, but let's use some common sense, right? And help clients know how they need to abide by those. So like some examples might be, hey, help them implement, if you're building websites for them, help them implement terms and conditions and cookie compliance. One that I really like is a product called Termly. 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 Very inexpensive for a client to sign up on. And it's very easy to configure, works with Google Tag Manager for compliance and consent. So that's a good one. There's a few others. There's another one called Climb. Climb's got a good, DSAR. When someone wants to make a privacy request, they can fill out a form, it authenticates them, and then you can respond back to them. It's a pretty clever thing. So helping your customers understand that, hey, don't ignore this. if you don't get your site ADA compliant. There's attorneys out there, unfortunately, looking for good, rich targets of websites that are not ADA compliant.
Speaking of that, guys, one of the earlier episode, around episode 20 or episode 30, we had a great guest on that front for ADA compliance. So we dived into a full episode on basically how you need to make your websites more accessible for people who are visually impaired, hearing impaired, whatever impairments they have. That's what the ADA compliance is. And yeah, to your point, what you're probably about to say, they're literally lawyers looking for this.
Yeah.
And it's an easy money. It's easy money. But vice versa, it could be easy money for you because government actually pays businesses money to be able to do that. So you can just hit those businesses up, and I don't know if it's still the case, but you can say, look, is it still the case?
I don't know. That's interesting. What you're saying sounds like there's free money out there.
Yeah, literally government giving out. When I had the guy on the episode, let me just bring it up real quick because I try to memorize everybody and it doesn't always. Let me just go Captivate. This is what we use. Shout out to Captivate, guys. If you're looking to launch your own podcast, Captivate is what we use to publish and distribute our episodes. And I've got data here on that, but I'm just going to look up that episode real quick for you. How ADA compliance can save you from lawsuits and boost your agency SEO. So the whole premise there is that there are certain states, or at the time of recording that episode was current. I think it still probably is, but you need to look into it depending on what state or area you're in. But yeah, Tony Caggiano, ADA comply guy actually. So yeah, so episode 23, and he shared with me and with you guys how government will pay businesses a certain amount of money. There you go, up to $5,000 in tax credits. That's what it is. Not pay you money, but you can claim it in tax credits up to $5,000 when it comes to investing into making your website ADA compliant. So you can go to those businesses that are bigger and say, look, you don't have this compliant. You're at that size that this could hit you. Did you know that the government can actually give you up to $5,000? I'm just saying, just check the numbers, right? But yeah, let's say that's the case, then that's an easy money. So how much would it be worth to you? What if this is, or you can say, hey, this is like round about the figure how much we charge for that service. So it's not going to cost you anything, basically. Yeah, so
right.
It's that.
No, you bring up an interesting thing that I'm going to definitely be researching later. Hey, how can I help my clients? And actually, that's an interesting thing to think about. If you're having a challenge, if this is out there, which I'm going to have to do the research, but you just figured out then how to help a client pay for your services. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. You just help them find the financing.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. I just put that link for you in the chat, but for you guys listening, I will put it in the show notes as well. But otherwise, here it's episode 23, titled "How ADA Compliance Can Save You from Lawsuits and Boost Your Agency's SEO," and the guest name was Tony Caggiano. Yeah. Now back to you, mate. For the listeners, I want to talk a bit more about that the omni-channel marketing, because I think that's like a strong wheelhouse for you. So I was going to pick your brain on that, even myself, but also for the listeners. Any practical steps agency owners listening can take to implement omni-channel strategies for their customers and also for their business?
I would say probably because a lot of your listeners are probably using Go HighLevel, right? Is take advantage of a lot of the automations that are possible for merging data right back into like Meta, to handle that. There's also a number of partners that can integrate directly to initiate like direct mail campaigns, right? But at the end of the day, having a strong strategy that's centered around identifying the right audiences and what those audiences actually look like, and how that should affect messaging and by channel. And sometimes actually just simply a lot of businesses fall into the simple problem when times get tight. What do they cut first? Marketing.
Yeah.
Right. I got one of our flooring stores right now and times are tight. Okay. Things are slow. And first thing he's trying to cut is marketing. It's like, you really want to do that? Because
it's like cutting out the branch nuts that you sit on.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if marketing's returning you $50 for every dollar you spent, do you think it's getting you money? Then it's the one thing you can't shut off or should not shut off. It's because but my advice there, help your clients structure the flow of where they put their data. Sometimes you're having clients, they use various methods for accounting like QuickBooks or whatever. It doesn't make it pretty to store the data. Get it in one central spot, because once you have it structured and you help them to see the importance of populating it, now you can utilize that for a lot of intelligence.
Let's talk about that. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're getting into the meat of it. So how, I mean, you can share how much you want to share, obviously, right? I don't need you to spill the whole secret sauce, but if you want, that's sweet. But
We'll have a course for that.
yeah. Client comes in, brand new client, let's say, whatever, a mattress store. Where do you start with that process? Do you like custom fields first, mapping out what needs to be, where is it going to go? And do you want to share that a little bit?
So the process that we use there would work for any retail business that has a brick and mortar, frankly.
Mhm.
And if they've been collecting, especially when you have a situation where you're collecting data because you got to deliver a product or do home service, right?
Yeah.
Having that data, making sure that the clients are putting that information in there is the starting point, and knowing what those transactions are worth, right? As an example, we work with on the mattress space, there's a number of POS systems that these stores will use. And unfortunately, some of these POS systems are not up with the times. They are archaic. They are still running on old Access databases, or that store owner can only get to it via a virtual desktop connection, and it doesn't really make it easy to export data. There's no APIs. There's nothing like that, right? Well, if there's not a way to export it, you're going to have to put the data in. And so, like in that case, for example, we'll add custom fields, of course. Hey, what was the transaction date? What was the transaction amount? What store location was it for? And then we automate that to store that in one central spot that we can use then later to tie back to if we've been doing direct mail for them, or we've used geoframe based audiences to drive our digital and CTV strategies.
Mhm.
So that's the secret sauce right there. Basically, we're using custom audiences versus using just system platform targeting. So
Yeah.
because I'm controlling the audience and I know that the audience is getting exposed, I can connect attribution back to those transactions. So again, it still comes down to structuring data. You need to have clean, structured data. Educate your customer of, hey, don't in the address field put the phone number too, or put the name. Like separate the data points out so you can standardize that information.
Yeah,
So
yeah, okay. That's the secret sauce. And then obviously then there's more to, do you use data enrichment as well? There's services for that? You probably would.
So again, I'm not in a basement office, right? I got 3,000 square foot of office space. We have dedicated servers. We have a three host cluster over there that we use for running a lot of database servers and clusters and stuff like that we do a lot of enhancements with and things like that. We process, again, going back to a data nerd, and we process over 500 million rows of data on a monthly basis of consumer
Wow.
property and automotive data. We license that to clients. We have a lot of access there and a lot of capabilities and capacity to handle that. So, but enriching that data nowadays gets more and more difficult. And what I would encourage marketers is don't try to take shortcuts. Be careful of some of the providers out there as far as, are they using sources that are privacy compliant, for example? And are you creating mechanisms there that, going back to the privacy point, make sure you don't just think that, well, that's their responsibility. No, that's yours. And getting this set up the right way it's not that difficult. It'll save you a lot of headache later and help you defend in case you're chased after, which is, we've had experience in that. But foundational piece of it is simply structuring data, because you can't connect it if you don't. If it starts with, hey, well, what zip codes, what postal codes am I getting the most revenue out of? Make sure you're capturing that data. If you can get the address, cool. Now you can find out what neighborhoods, right? Now you can standardize that information and narrow it down to neighborhoods. And you can say, hey, if all your money's coming from these neighborhoods on a historical repetitive basis, why would you waste your advertising dollars on other neighborhoods?
Right. So then it's either cutting off the thing that doesn't work at all,
Yeah.
or focusing more campaigns on the one that do work, or combination of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
basically.
what we've seen actually too, for example, when we analyze a lot of POS data, like I was looking at one client's POS data, and it's interesting because now that you have the POS data, you can start to see the trends and see what's happening. And they would write up people, and if the people didn't close, they still had that write up in the system, right? And it was flagged as an unsold piece of revenue. But what we identified is because we're using data as we're driving things like direct mail or digital advertising, as we're using that data, they had for a 5-month period about $160,000 of revenue that was unclosed.
Mm-hmm.
160,000. So that's a good chunk of money for any business. I don't care who
Yep.
you are. That'd be nice revenue. Only $40,000 of that unclosed revenue, 40,000 was exposed to marketing, meaning that we touched them with direct mail or digital.
Mm-hmm.
So what
There's
does
a
that
lot
tell
of
you about the other 110,000?
yeah, missed opportunity.
Does marketing help close ratio? Sounds like it does,
It
right?
does.
If you have enough odds. So it's when you start to you have to look at things in a few different angles,
Mm-hmm.
because again, hey, that's an interesting aspect there. Well, if marketing is going to help me secure more revenue, why would I not do it? Right?
Yeah, this is where the numbers become so crucial. Even like understanding your customer lifetime value and does it increase over time? Because I mean, it's in the name of your business: attract, engage, convert, and retain. Right. So if you improve stuff on retention with upsells or keeping customers longer coming back for, I don't know, more mattresses or whatever, you increase that customer lifetime
Yeah.
value. Now, if you look at the cost of acquisition on ads, you know what the range is. How much more can you afford to spend on ads to outcompete your competition on that?
Right.
Because you can afford, right?
Right. Oh,
For example.
exactly. I can't show this because it's a client report that we have. But for example, let me see what I can show. I'll just give the rundown of it. We have one client here where we did a direct mail campaign for them.
Mm-hmm.
They spent $12,000. They have so far month to date, they've gotten $37,923.86 of revenue from individuals that were exposed to on that direct mail campaign. I would say, hey, if we
That's
looked at
pretty
that
good.
long enough and repeated the process long enough, we would see whether that actually has an impact on the trend, or did they just come in anyway? A lot of times,
Right.
business owners go, "Oh well, I would have gotten that business anyway." Well, let's prove it. Let's stop marketing now. Or what happens to your ticket value, right? The reality is, again, our responsibility. So from as a marketer or agencies that are educating the businesses, is people do business with people, spend money with people they trust.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In the absence of value, price will always be the problem. Right? Absence of value, price is always the problem. So if a prospect who's going to buy your goods or services doesn't have trust in you, they have no value in you. Your price will always be the problem.
Yeah. And
Presence.
how do you back yourself up? Right? How do you feel confident about pitching your offer? The only way you can back it up is by results. And what are the results? The results are data. So
Yeah.
going back to data.
Right. But a lot of times you'll also have business owners that'll say, Pinterest, there's no opportunities there for me. Or LinkedIn, all my money's on Instagram or something like that, or coming through TikTok, right? Well, the reality,
Pinterest is a good one, right? So like a
it
lot of
is.
like
It's
wives, they
killer.
want to create their visual board of their like new
Yeah.
dream house. What they call it, the vision board, their dream new house. So that's just like already starting to collect different like furniture pieces, what they like, right? So there is definitely market and how you can use it.
Well, what I would say too, because especially when you're working with a business to consumer good product, like selling mattresses or furniture or flooring, or it could be a whatever shop, it doesn't really matter, or whatever business, service, or whatever. If they land on your website, okay, somehow you get them to your website first, and you're not doing retargeting across these other channels, maybe you don't want to dump all your main money on those channels, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But why not retarget? Be the unique thing that stands out and show up where they don't expect you.
Yeah.
It's what breaks the noise. There's a stat, and this was like a while back when I looked at it. It was like a stat that as a general human being, we're exposed to 6,000 to 10,000 advertisements a day. 6,000 to
Wow.
10,000. So when a business is fighting to get attention, they're fighting all of that stuff. They're fighting the drama on the news. They're fighting the politics, and every other thing that is distracting a consumer. You have to break the noise. It's not always about click here to buy it. It is. So a lot of the strategies we go through are strategies that are very specific to catch people at the different stages of the buying journey. No matter what you buy, you go from a state of, I have a problem and I don't know what it is yet, to you're problem aware. You finally know you have a problem. Hey, my business isn't growing, or I'm not sleeping well, or my skin itches, or something like that, right? Then you finally figure out the problem. Now you're going to go do information, and then you're going to do comparison of that information, and then you're going to make a purchase decision, and then you're going to purchase. And then it's the follow-up, and a lot of people, or a lot of businesses, and I think as marketers, we need to really strongly educate business owners to continue to market to the people that already spent money with you, even if it's going to be a long time before they would spend money with you again. If you buy a couch, when's the next time you're going to buy a couch? How many years?
5.
5 years, maybe 10 years, right? If it's good couch, I got my Flex Steel recliner that I bought when my son was a little wee man, and now he's almost 21. I still got the chair. I like the chair. It's my chair. But can't you market to me to get me to buy something else?
Home office. Maybe you want to, yeah, exactly.
Or remind me, the marketing sometimes, and it's not a lot of spend for a business. The marketing sometimes is simply going to be geared around, hey, thank you for trusting us. We're your local partner, whatever. It's because when you and I start talking and we're having a cup of coffee and I start telling you and you're like, I had the same problem. In fact, I just saw you, I bought from them. You should go buy from them.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? They're reinforcing trust, brand
They become
trust.
an evangelist there.
Yeah. But by them, if they continue to retarget you, even after you've purchased that one thing, something that maybe you're only going to buy once, you need to feel good that you spent the money with them.
Right.
And
So
if
the result doesn't always have to be the conversion point is not always a transaction in terms of actual monetary. It could be that you just strengthening the brand affinity. There are, right?
100%. Hey, if I got you to dwell, so for example, here's maybe a little trick, right? When you're putting retargeting pixels on your clients, always make sure that you use Google Tag Manager. It's a simple thing. You can put that tag container or a certain delay on there for 10 seconds. Put a 10-second delay that the tag cannot fire. Put a primary tag that catches all your traffic, and put a second Facebook pixel or Pinterest pixel or whatever that delays by 10 seconds when it fires. Right? Just 10 seconds.
What does that do?
When you go to a website, what's the first thing you're trying to figure out? Does this website have the information that I care about? Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
And you make that decision usually in a few seconds.
And then you leave if it isn't. Right.
You leave it if it isn't.
So you're making it more
usually
accurate.
you're making that decision in probably about 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So Google counts an engaged visitor as anybody that's on there for 10 seconds or more.
Right. So that's the secret. You don't even have to reinvent the wheel. You just follow that same process. Yeah, great.
Start there.
I like it.
Start there and delay the pixel fire. See the difference. It's going to blow your mind. You got all these bounce. What we look for example, is we look at what's our bounce rate. Are we decreasing the bounce rate because of awareness?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Brilliant.
And
this is where content marketing on social media comes in. Why it's so important, for example.
Right. And we'll get granular to create little segments based upon, hey, if they made it into anywhere past the homepage, like into a product or the store pages or anything like that. And I don't care really if a business that's selling a product, they're selling a pin. If they're selling a pin and they're like, everybody comes in to get the pin, or everybody comes in to buy the chair. Nobody buys it online. I don't care. Have an online store. They just want to have trust that you have the product.
Where's the point of diminishing returns on this? Like in terms of looking at the data and making decision on that data, because you need to know that there's going to be big enough sample. If it's the sample, if it's too small, don't consider that to be enough. Yeah.
Start with understanding your analytics. It's that simple. Whether you're selling brick and mortar or not, collect your data, understand your analytics, and create the tools in the process that'll collect that data. And HighLevel has made it easier than ever, for crying out loud. It's like you can tie a physical phone to your tracking number inside the platform.
Yeah.
So, we're getting clients to order their phones, left and right. Sean Clark, when they came out with this, he tagged me. Joel's been waiting for this, but it's like I want this physical voice over IP phone because I want the client to make all their calls from it. I want my clients to make their calls from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I get them to make their calls from it, now I got data to track.
Yeah.
Because I can take a phone number and shove that into Meta as an audience, right? And if I get them to put some other stuff in there too, I can eventually expand that and understand more how to help them, right? And going back to, hey, if I can get their postal data, right, now I can start to understand really unique customer segments using some different data products that help us to understand those segments, while having good privacy. So
We've dove real deep into all this stuff. This has been exciting, right? Based on looking at all this, working with this data stuff, you're way more into this stuff than me. What trends do you see happening in the next year with the data-driven marketing and utilization of AI in that process?
Well,
What do you think?
obviously, data driving marketing will never change. It's always going to need data. You got to have it and you got to understand it. And you don't have to be, you don't have to understand everything, but you got to think of things from a common sense standpoint. That doesn't change. Just because the years go by, it's just different tools.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're still just selling to people. What moves people? What moves people today hasn't really changed. I just have different ways to try to get your attention.
Maybe let me reframe my question. Like, how about interpretation of data, making decisions of data? Do you reckon maybe that could change by utilizing AI to be that proactive aspect rather than you having to be the scientist that looks at the data? Like AI is pretty smart at being able to go through it.
The thing that's going to continue to change in the next year for sure is privacy is going to increase. Capturing data, anything that's related, anything that's more identifiable, age, gender, those types of things are going to become, especially in the United States, those are going to come under more target. In the United States, we used to be able to target by language and ethnicity and those types of things. And all of those data elements are falling off of targeting capabilities. Okay. So you got to figure out other ways to say, how would I get this audience if I'm trying to get that audience? It's about thinking a different angle. So AI is going to help you, but I don't think it's going to replace the marketer.
No.
It's going to enhance it. It's a 40x multiplier if you use it. Just from what I shared earlier today, it's like today I set up 4 of our sub accounts with some complex webhooks that are processing, digesting, and matching data back to other data tables. And it's AI helped me do that faster. If I had to figure that out, a different way, it would have taken longer. But the privacy is going to restrict more and more data. And so you got to think of other ways that you'll be able to identify what's responding based upon what you're doing. Email marketing is still big. I highly recommend people talk with email to inbox, right? Kristen, she's a brilliant lady. I mean, some common sense stuff, for crying out loud. What's funny is I'm getting emails still right now from some people. I won't say their name because I'll be nice, but it's some people that are supposedly big, high-level marketers, and they don't even have their email set up right when it's unverified. When it comes through unverified, you don't even know, you don't even have your stuff set up. It's just going to my spam, and it's getting filtered out. But there's some basic things like understand the mechanics of things, the fundamentals, and be willing to, I'm in a big purge drive right now. So in other words, what I mean by that is like, I'm going through, if it's stuff that we haven't used, if it's old designs, old ideas, I'm very likely to just shred it and throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I was as a marketer when I made that the first time, I'm a different marketer today. I'll think of a different way to solve the problem. And I don't want to jade myself with an old solution always. It's not that you don't gain some experience from those, but sometimes it prohibits you from being creative. So you have to upturn the box and say, okay, let me look at this all fresh, all new. And how you started out with this, you have to just simply say yes. And you got to say yes quicker. Because the world today is going to go faster and faster, especially with AI.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't learn to say yes faster with information and to make decisions quicker, it's going to be more challenging for you to keep up.
Brilliant. I like how we closed the loop on that. We started with that and we finish on that. Joel, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, mate. Taking time out of a busy day to share your wisdom. Obviously, you've got a big agency, so you've got a lot of experience. I really appreciate sharing with us today the aspects of it all. If you wanted to leave like a last piece of advice to the guys listening that might be maybe starting out high level, now would be a moment for you to do that.
If they're starting up with HighLevel, don't think twice about it. Say yes. That would be my quick two cents, is get started. And the other thing I'd say, hey, for those that are starting up and those that are doing it, just be a good marketer. Be an honest, ethical marketer. Don't try to create things that you're the reason why that new law has to get made, because you're only making it. Just be a good human being, okay? Be the type. When I started First Direct, I said this to my wife. I says, I want to always be able to come home and know wherever we're at that I did it the right way. If we don't have any money, I'm okay with that, is if I did it the right way. And that's why I don't have the money, because others are cheating and lying and stealing. I don't want that. I don't want any part of that. I actually, if I find out you're a dirty, rotten scoundrel, hey, I will tell people you're a dirty, rotten scoundrel and tell them why and what to look for. I will educate them on what to be aware of. That's the whole no myths, no just marketing that works. Is
right.
Don't sell the fluff. Okay? Sell the real results. And if you don't know how to give the real results, tell the client, hey, I'm starting off. And I think this will work. What do you think? I'd love your opinion. I'd love your feedback. Don't underestimate how some business owners might be willing to help you.
Yeah. When you start an agency like this, there's need that's not need, but like you're trying to get things off the ground, so you kind of take whatever comes to your way, but you can't just take everything. Like yesterday, I was at my BNI chapter and I had my 10 minutes presentation, and I was talking about, what my belief is, that a lot of businesses are burning money away on ads and marketing when they don't have the back end in place. So then they're not converting leads because of no lead follow-up, for example.
Yep.
And then I talked about a bunch of other stuff. But at the end, one of the guys, like a big plumbing business, he came up to me and, hey, do you do SEO as well? I'm like, no, mate, I don't. We do have I can help you a little bit. But if you're looking for full-blown like an SEO service who will like create backlinks and all that, we don't have that. But I would love to show you like the Yext, the search atlas, help you utilize it. It's something that we're playing around with it as a beta group. You don't want to be bullshitting anybody, basically.
Yeah. By the way, for one of the statements you made earlier, the IRS has a form 8826 in the United States. It's a disabled access credit. So if you can substantiate your expense, you can substantiate your expenses there. You got to be under $1 million revenue or fewer than 30 full-time employees, and you can deduct 50% of eligible ADA-related expenses between $250 and $10,250. Your max credit per year is $5,000. So, hey, if you're paying web developers to work on your website, you can get the tax credit for $5,000 of that.
Brilliant. There you go. Episode 23, guys. Check it out. Tony Caggiano, ADA compliant guy. You can learn more about that. Yeah. There you go. I'm glad to hear that's still the case for US anyway. For the rest of the world, dig into it and find out. All right, Joel. Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate you being on once again. It's been great having you on as a fellow podcaster as well. We actually didn't even plug your old podcast, but you actually have some good episodes. What's the podcast name again?
Be Growth Driven.
Be Growth Driven, and you're going to relaunch it, right?
We are, yeah. We've been working on a lot of stuff this year, and that's just, unfortunately, it's one of those things that kind of takes a back burner a little bit, but it's making content's always tough. It's kind of like the roofer who fixes everybody else's roof, but he hasn't fixed his roof yet. So that's the challenge, right?
Yeah. You have fewer episodes there, but I must say I'm very impressed with the website for the podcast that you've done and that cool little intro that you've got. There's a few little things that I was looking at, like how I'm going to implement some of that idea, like those flowing interview, those talking heads. It's pretty cool.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Guys, thank you so much for being on today's show or listening to today's episode or watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, please give it a like and subscribe. Would appreciate it as well. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please share it with any fellow high-level mates that you think would benefit from listening. For show notes, links, and extra tips to help your agency or your SaaS of high level, please go to highlevelexperience.com. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.